Are you living your passion? What is your passion? Welcome to the Lux Life Discovered podcast, where we talk with people who are living a lifestyle that reflects their passion, because we believe everyone should enjoy living their best life, their Lux Life.
Hello, I'm Rick Steiner, back with another episode of Lux Life Discovered. My co-host is with me again, Shannon Richmond.
Can't shake me, can you?
No, but I'm glad you're here, though.
Thank you.
Well, our guest today is Mallory Archer with Relax and Eat Cake.
Hello.
She is, in my opinion, the premier cake lady in the area.
Thank you.
Mallory has been involved with SCG on some concept shoots from the very beginning.
Yes.
So she knows she probably sees my email come in, concept shoot title, and she's probably thinking, right? Yeah, she's like, here
I'll
we
get
go
a
again.
message on Instagram, and it's some fabulous, crazy things. Like, this is the next idea. What do you think?
Yeah, and she always comes through. So yeah.
I mean, I like to, branch out and do crazy things, so it works.
Right. We both like to push the envelope and do what hasn't
Yes.
been done and make it spectacular.
Awesome.
So tell me how you got started in doing cakes, and we'll go to the upward.
Yeah, so I got started because I made my own wedding cake, naively.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend that at all. Looking back on it, I cringed, but I mean, whatever. It was my first actual wedding cake.
Right.
And then it just kind of trickled from there. Well, actually, I graduated from FSU Panama City with a degree in psychology. And it was right when the housing market crashed, everything kind of crashed. And I could not find a job with my degree. And so I ended up doing paraprofessional work at schools and substitute teaching and trying to get my foot in the door to maybe be a guidance counselor one day, because that's all that was available.
Right.
And I ended up working in the Publix bakery decorating cakes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did that all through my first pregnancy. And then once I had my first baby, I was like, I'm not going back to work. I just can't. And so then I started doing cakes out of my home. So, and then, here I am today.
How long ago is that?
My oldest son is about to turn 12.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, and any family event, anytime anyone needed a cake for anything, I was like, I'll do it just to get the practice. So,
Right.
And then I just kind of moved into the wedding industry. And
So you just love baking? Did you have a love for baking?
I love decorating.
Decorating.
I bake. I enjoy baking. I like experimenting with new flavors and making things taste good, but decorating is I get through the baking to be able to decorate.
Oh, like the little bonus.
Yeah.
What I say about Mallory is the same thing I say, and I've told you this before, about a lady in Northwest Arkansas that is the only cake person I would recommend in that area, because what they have in common is they are both great bakers, and they're both great decorators, and their cakes look like masterpieces.
Oh,
but you put the combination together, because rarely do you see a cake that looks great that tastes great. It's either the cake may not look the best, but it's going to taste delicious.
I
But
get that.
They bring both of those together, and
Yeah.
that's so. When I can't imagine the stress. Of course, I'm an event planner and I do weddings also, but that to me, I guess that's what I do. So that's good. But being the cake person though, and brides get very, detailed and sometimes outlandish on their ideas, and groom's cakes now are as elaborate as the bride's cake sometimes.
I try really hard to gain trust of the bride and of couples and of other people in the industry. I want people, when they find my website or find me on social media, I want them to trust that they're going to get what they want, and they're going to get a good product that tastes good, looks good also, like you said. But I don't want there to be any doubt. I promise you're going to get something amazing. I promise.
Yeah. Well, and that's the trust issue is huge.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So I try really hard to collect reviews and, honest reviews from couples, and develop good relationships with other vendors, because I feel like that's almost equally as important.
Yeah.
So between the two, you're gonna get something good, I promise.
And you cover all of Bay County for sure.
Yeah,
But then,
pretty much anywhere within a 2-hour radius. That's kind of my comfort zone for having a cake in the car for that long.
Right.
If it's a wedding or something, I've delivered to Pensacola only because a bride contacted me. Her wedding was at Margaritaville, which there's Margaritaville in Pier Park. This was years ago. And so this whole time I'm like, okay, great. The morning of or the day before, no, it was the morning of, I call Margaritaville and I'm like, hey, I just want to, I'm going to be here delivering a wedding cake. I want to make sure I'm going to the right place. And they're like, we don't have a wedding today. And I'm like, what?
Gosh.
Uh-oh.
So I call the bride and I'm like, hey, I just want to make sure you said Margaritaville, right? And she's like, yeah, Margaritaville in Pensacola. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be a little bit late because it's 2 hours as opposed to an hour. So that's why I delivered to Pensacola.
Right.
But
Wow.
I will go there again. But I don't typically.
And it's better to know in advance.
Yeah, and she was so gracious. She's like, I am so sorry. She was like, just get here when you can. Don't speed or anything. I'm like, But
Right.
yeah, it was great, everything. And it was actually a vegan wedding cake back whenever I did vegan stuff. So that was interesting.
So vegan wedding cake.
Do
So
they
tell me-
taste good?
Yeah. What's
They taste like a vegan wedding cake. I mean, the texture, it's mostly texture is
Okay.
different.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they make vegan butter. It's
Never
if you're a
thought-
vegan,
just haven't thought about
Wow.
that.
yeah. If you're a vegan and you know how gluten-free people, it's gluten-free, so
Right.
they're fine with it. But non-gluten-free people, they're like,
Yeah, it's a
so
little
it is what it
different
is.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So groom's cakes, are they getting just as popular as wedding cakes now?
I feel like it's 50-50.
Really?
And honestly, it depends on how much the groom even cares. Because some of them are like all about cake, That's the only reason they're like at their own wedding is to eat cake and drink. But then some of them are like, I don't care, just
Right.
just let the bride have all the cake. So
but when
it's
they're
50-50.
But when they're interested, they
It's
have
usually
a
a crazy idea.
What's the craziest groom cake that you've done? Or not crazy, but
So the most fun, memorable one, it was a Natty Light can, and it looked really cool. It had like pretzels and French macaroons all over, but the bride wanted to ice her groom. You know what that is?
No.
When you get iced. So Smirnoff
I'm
Ice.
like what?
It's like a trend. It kind of has faded, but it used to be really popular. So the wine cooler Smirnoff Ice. So if you're at a party or anywhere and someone is like, hey, and casually like hands it to you, if you take it, you have to chug the whole thing. And so she's like, I want to ice my groom. So the planner was like, I've got this crazy idea. What if we hid the Smirnoff Ice in the wedding cake or in the groom's cake? And I'm like, okay. So I saran wrapped the Smirnoff all up, like made a little coffin for it in the cake, covered it up and decorated the cake. And so whenever he went to cut into the cake and he's like, oh, what's this? Heart, and pulls out the Smirnoff Ice
Right.
and has
Then
to
he
drink
has
it
to
in front
drink
of her.
it.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
So it
pretty
was,
clever.
it was very creative. But other than that, I don't know, groom's cakes, like anywhere from hunting theme to
Right.
liquor, they're all kind of popular and crazy.
Yeah, you did a big honey cake for
Yeah, that was for a birthday.
Right.
But it was like a life-size deer head with like big antlers and a cigar sticking out of the deer's mouth. It was
Oh
kinda
my
cool.
gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, it could have
She
very
does
well been
like
a groom's cake.
Yeah, like I said, she does some elaborate, and it's the details that come into play.
That's what
because-
makes it,
Yeah.
because whenever you get into the finer details, like I think that's what sets you apart, where people
Right.
are like, wow,
Yeah.
and
Where-
that's the fun part.
This episode of Lux Life Discovered is brought to you in part by Steiner Event Group. Steiner Event Group is a national event planner that produces results for their clients. They offer event and wedding planning on any scale, hosting bridal shows, scouting talented models, and producing riveting concept photo shoots to help their clients expand their brands, products, and services. Whether you're a business professional aiming to take your brand to the next level, planning a corporate or private event, a bride seeking to have the wedding of your dreams, or a model ready to be discovered, Steiner Event Group is ready for you.
Yeah.
Well, and then you were at a bridal show yesterday that we did here in Panama
Yes,
City Beach,
yes.
and you came, and the first thing you told me is like, I brought so many samples, I want to make sure I have enough. And then close to the end, you're like, I think I'm going to run out.
Because every other show I've done, I've always over prepared, and I come home with a ton of samples, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to eat them. I don't want my kids to eat them. Like, we get enough sugar all the time. So I'm like, I'm not bringing home any samples. And so this time I felt like I did a modest, estimate, but I didn't bring any samples home. They all got eaten.
The ones I had yesterday they were delicious.
Thank you.
Were you able to? We were so busy yesterday running around.
Yeah, we stayed busy.
I was, it was a constant. I didn't leave my booth once. There was always someone to talk to or something to see. Yeah.
Good.
Well, not going home with samples, that tells you a whole lot. They liked it, so they probably double dipped a few times.
They absolutely did. And I was in the front, I was in the lobby, so I caught people on the way in and on the way out, and they're, snagging samples both times, which is fine.
Yeah, as long as they call.
Yeah. Like, you can eat my food, but you better use me for your services.
Right.
No,
so when somebody needs
but you're kidding, but not kidding.
Yeah.
When somebody needs a wedding cake, do you like to sit down with them and kind of get their vision, and do you help them? Because some people might not even have a clue where to start.
Yeah, some people don't. And some people are like, I've seen your feed, I've seen your galleries, this is my inspiration, go with it. But typically, I like to do most things over email, just so it's all in one place and I can refer back to it. And nowadays everything's online.
Yeah.
So between my website or social media or whatever, that's usually how people will contact me. And we'll just kind of throw ideas around over email. If they've got a Pinterest board, I'll check that out. And then kind of get a design and a serving size and all that. And then I'll quote them. And then they get the date reserved. And then we do the tasting. And that's kind of like the design finalization. They get to pick their flavors. And that's always a lot of fun. And they can do up to 4 people. So whether they want to bring a parent or a maid of honor, whatever, they can.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And it's fun because, I get to know the couples. And by that time, we've talked probably a lot through email. So getting to sit down face to face and kind of get to know them a little bit is fun. And it kind of it puts everybody at ease because it's like, okay, we vibe.
She gets us.
The day's going to be great. Yes.
Well, you get that personal connection established, and that takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
So,
and usually I know several, if not all of their vendors, so we can kind of chit chat about that, and that's always fun.
Yeah. Well, good. I don't want you to get too specific because I don't want to pinpoint a certain bribe. What's the craziest thing that somebody's come to you that you're just like, seriously?
I don't think anything really.
Nothing? Well, that's good.
I'm for that. Let's get crazy, it doesn't faze me. Let's do something cool. I don't know. Yeah.
No, that's true.
Nothing comes to mind. Oh, actually, there was this wedding planner that wanted to do this crazy concept shoot. And I'm kidding. No.
Thanks a lot.
No.
You just wait till the next one, yeah.
I'm here. I'm ready.
No, as I mentioned earlier, I do come up with some. I don't think small, and Mallory has learned that, and she has also learned that nothing's out of reach if I want it to happen.
You have proven that time. You literally start with this crazy idea. I don't know how I'm going to get it done, and then it's done, and better than it originally was planned.
Well,
so, you've got a talent there.
Well, my wife wouldn't call it a talent. She would Shannon? She would call it so, no, I've just never had a problem dreaming big.
Yeah, so. And you're the most amazing networker I've ever seen. You pull people out of thin air. It's where do you find
make it happen?
People? Yes, that's exactly what you do. It's where do you find all these people?
Yeah, the last concept shoot, I said, I kind of want to get a helicopter involved, and she's like, really?
I don't even know we could do that here. I don't know,
it's a lot of fun. So where do you see yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, as your children are getting older too, and you
Yeah,
have
so my
teenagers,
daughter, she would be right there with me. She wanted to come so bad yesterday. She's 10 and she is like a social media guru already.
Is she really?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. She does all these videos and reels and all that. And I'm like, please help me because my brain
Well, now
doesn't
you-
work that way.
But she does some neat stuff on your stories too that I can't do, and I'm just watching. I'm thinking.
I mean, I
I'm old.
do enough to get by, but like, I feel like I can't keep up with how fast everything's changing on
Oh,
social
yeah.
media. And I mean, I'm not old by any means, but it's like I'm already outdated. I don't.
Well, I was trying to do a reel, and by the time I did it, then you've got all these questions like where your mark. But I was just like,
I
forget
don't.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
done.
I can't.
So-
I can't get with reels yet. I don't have the patience. If
And
I
the-
can't do it the first time and succeed, I'm like whatever.
And then we've got Jason over there laughing at us because he's Mr. Real Expert. So.
I can't. It's so frustrating.
reals.
All
Not
the all the glitches and like your audio goes away and you have to find new audio. I'm like whatever.
Oh, you have to put audio? No, I'm just kidding. It's like, that's a problem. Yeah.
No, and
Greg, I hear a
so
concept shoot. The bride probably spent like 10 minutes trying to create a reel.
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
I don't
gosh.
have time for that.
Yeah, I don't need that's yeah.
No.
I guess we need to have somebody on our staff.
Well,
I don't know.
Her 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
I know.
We have to bring her on board.
I
yeah.
know. Well, so that's a degree now, like social media marketing. You can go to college,
Seriously?
yes, and that's how fast things are changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in a year from now, back to your original question, I hope things get bigger and better in Panama City and Panama City Beach, because I feel like we're finally back in the groove after the hurricane. And a lot of people don't understand, like it completely wiped out the wedding industry here. Like everything was gone. Venues, stores, everything was gone. And a lot of people had to move. Just in the cake world, we lost a ton of cake people that just had to move because either their house was gone or their business was gone.
Right.
So I feel like we're just kind of bouncing back. But it gave opportunity for a clean slate too,
Yeah.
True.
So,
Well, I'm glad to partner with you on several events, and so it's going to be even more exciting going forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited.
I know that you've got a couple of projects that we can't talk about, but I would love to go into some of that. But we can't. I know it's because you're NDAs. So, but it's just fun.
Oh, yeah, those projects.
Yeah, it's fun to
That wasn't a project. That was a
disaster.
training.
So, well, we'll leave that there. But,
Maybe one day we can talk about it.
so maybe off air we could just have a good but isn't it fun to have the opportunities even with that situation? It's still good to be able to discover what's out there, and because if that happens here,
Yeah.
think what goes on everywhere else, and the opportunities.
Those opportunities are great for the experience, the exposure, but then also it helps you understand your worth.
Exactly.
When
Yes.
everything's
Yeah.
all said and done, and it's like, okay, you kind of level up your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I welcome things like that.
And that's one thing that I've learned years ago. If you don't value what you bring to the table, no one else will either.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's
Completely
so true.
agreed.
Yeah.
You might rub people the wrong way, but hey.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, there was a quote on Instagram that I reposted, I think on my personal page a while back, but it's like, if they think your price is too much, they're not your customer.
Yeah, they're not. No, and it takes a long time to learn that and
Yeah.
to
And to
actually
accept
believe
that.
that
Yeah,
about yourself. But once you do, there's no going back.
Right.
There's no going back.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you ever cut your fee for someone one time, they're going to try it the whole time you work with them.
They will. They will. People are good at nickel and diming.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been there. I do it too. But
Right? That's different, though. Yeah.
yeah, I can do it. No one else can.
And of course, Jason and Shannon and I are like, what are they talking about before? We'll cover that in a minute.
So what's the biggest wedding cake you've made?
Probably like a 5-tier wedding cake for 200. Our area, I feel like the max, I would say max, but kind of the top wedding number, I guess you could say, just because based on all the venues here, what they can house. And but yeah, I mean, a 5-tier wedding cake plus a groom's cake. That's a lot, you know.
So
Right.
do you have to drive that cake to the venue?
Yeah.
Oh, is that nerve-wracking?
It's
I
not
couldn't do
anymore. It's not anymore. So my husband drives. He drives like a grandpa naturally. So he's my driver.
He catches all the slack and the stress. Yeah.
He does, yeah. He gets an earful almost every like slow down, there's a bump. But I wouldn't trust anyone else to do it. But the bigger the cake, sometimes we'll stack it on site just to.
Well, I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
do you take it like completely assembled sometime, or do you?
4 tiers usually.
See, that's
But
I'd still be nervous.
I mean, it you never get over it, but it gets easier, kind of thing. But yeah, so one time he did not drive, and I drove myself. He was busy or something, and it wasn't a huge cake, but it was in a venue I had never been before, so I didn't know anything about bumps or, you know, you learn which venues have great entries and which don't. But and then it was also Ironman, so traffic was diverted. You know, the
Right.
beach is crazy
wow.
during Ironman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I get there, and the ride was rough, and I get inside, and I open up the box, and the cake had, like, collapsed a little bit from a bumpy ride.
collapsed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh my gosh. So we have this thing. Can I cuss?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's called a no shit kit. It's like, you know, if oh shit happens, it's, you know, whatever, all the tools and stuff that you need to fix the cake. So I open the box, and I'm like, oh, and go back to the car to get all my stuff, and this a family member of the bride is like running out, and she's like, ma'am, the cake is falling over. I'm like, I know, I'm gonna be like, I guess she thought I was just gonna be like, here and leave. I'm like, I know, I'm very
great.
sorry, I'll be in a minute.
Like, what have we done? Yeah.
Yeah, but she's like, oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew. I'm like, yes, I know. But we got it fixed, and it was fine. And I like immediately emailed the bride. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I just want to let you know. And she was like, it was fabulous.
Right.
No, it doesn't even matter. So
You had your kit.
yes,
Yeah,
I had
that's-
my kit. Thank goodness. I don't ever want to use it, but I had it. Yeah.
Right. At least you were prepared.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So has there been a situation where, like, the whole thing has just like been a disaster that you couldn't?
I don't think so.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I like try everything possible to prevent that from happening.
Yeah,
So.
I can, of course, taking it and assembling it on site would be stressful because then
Oh, yeah.
everybody's around, so you're trying to do the details and touches. But I can't
So-
imagine transporting it all done.
Yeah,
so.
I try and get there early. I mean, just to get in and out before people start, because people will be all up like, oh, how do I, you know,
And ask them
questions,
any
and how long
yeah.
did it take you to do that, and what do you do with this? And I'm just like,
Please
but
leave.
you're like, you got to be cordial and nice and just get it done. But I try and get in there when there's no
There's
one
nobody,
there, just so
yeah.
you can get in and out and avoid that.
True.
Yeah.
We have a lady in Arkansas that will show up 30 minutes before you need the cake, and you're stressing the whole time.
Yeah.
Is she going to make it? Did she
Oh,
forget? Does she have the
no.
right day? Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Sometimes
It
you
just
can't
drives you
help it
crazy.
though, because, you know, a lot of times, especially during peak wedding season, you've got multiple deliveries in a day. So you've got to time all the ceremonies and what time the reception starts
yeah.
with traffic and your travel time. And so there are times where you have to roll up and they're, you know, down at the beach already doing the ceremony, and you're just getting there with the cake, you know. Which, I mean, that's not a
so
big
you're one
deal.
of those-
It happens all the time, but
It's
a lot-
stressful
yeah,
for
a lot
you.
of people, yeah, and you know, design or planners are like, okay, we need you here at this time with the wedding cake, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be at another delivery. There's a lot of logistics. That,
right. So what's the most you've delivered in one day?
This episode of Lux Life Discovered is brought to you in part by Orville's Men's Store. Thank you, Orville's Men's Store, for supplying the men's clothing for today's podcast. For the absolute best in casual and dress wear for men, visit orvillesms.com. That's ORVILLESMS.com.
Yeah, 4, and you just have to like line up your route and drop them off as you go. The car stays like ice cold. Like if my kids
bet,
have to
yeah.
come with us, we
They're pretty
bring a
cold,
blanket.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean my feet are
I was thinking
frozen.
about that,
It's
but
like a little
summer,
ice box
yeah.
in there. But yeah, probably 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You ever deliver the wrong cake to the wrong venue?
No.
Good.
You're trying to catch her, aren't you?
I am. I wanted to know.
No, that would be
That would be my luck. I think, it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's not your cake. Sorry.
No,
Hope you enjoy it. Yeah.
I do get out, you have like stress dreams.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been a server and like 10 years later you have a dream that you're in the weeds and all that. I'll have cake stress dreams where either it's the wrong day or like the wrong cake design or something, and I show up and they're like, this isn't what we ordered. Wake up in a panic like,
I've not done that. I've done that in college. I lived with 5 other guys when we went to Mississippi, or 4 other guys when we went to Mississippi State. We all had the same class schedule. So I would go to class on Monday. One would go on Wednesday, one would go on Friday, the other one would go the next Monday, and then it was time to start the cycle again, unless there was an exam. So on Tuesday, Thursday, we didn't go to a lot of classes, So I had already, had my master's by this point, married, and I'd wake up during the night thinking, oh my gosh, did I take that final? And it's like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll have
so I understand that.
dreams.
Yeah.
Except they're about
Mine's for my
delivering on the wrong day or like forgetting an order or something.
Right.
And that is an absolute worst nightmare. And so like I have several things, whether it's email, my calendar, my Google on my phone or whatever, to keep everything in line.
Do you wake up during the night and make notes?
No.
No, I've done that before. And it's like, I need to relax.
I'm
Yeah.
a hard
I need to
sleeper.
relax and eat cake.
I feel I'm nonstop during the day, so when I go to sleep, I'm out. Like I'm done
that's
until the
good.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brain needs to rest.
So how do people find you? How do they order from you? How do they start that process?
I get a lot from Google, just people typing in keywords, whether it's wedding cake Panama City Beach or destination wedding Panama City Beach, and they'll head to my website. I have a really good relationship with a lot of the vendors and the
Venues.
referring. I think that's really important. I think, this is my opinion, but I feel like you should make it a priority to have a really good relationship with all of the vendors, whether it be the venue, DJs, photographers,
Right.
Photographer. And I think that's like the first, besides the venue, the first vendor that people book is their photographer, just because that's so important. So,
and such a high demand for that.
yes. And so having a good relationship with all the photographers in town, I think is important because they're so talented,
Yeah.
and pretty cake pictures are like a super exciting thing to get whenever all the wedding albums come in, and that's
Sure.
the first thing I go, like, where's the cake?
Like, forget the couple
Yeah.
and everything. Now I'm just,
Yeah,
where's
no,
my cake?
I want to see my cake. It's so pretty because they almost make it look better than it is in person.
Yeah,
It's
you're like, dang, I didn't know that looked
I
good.
know.
Yeah.
Photography is just amazing.
Well, it's like with our concept shoot, the angle that Victoria took the picture from, it made it seem so much larger than it was, and it was
they
just...
see things that we don't behind the
Exactly.
lens.
Yeah.
Like photography just amazes me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
So,
something
yeah.
I can never do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't either. I have like a little Canon to just take better pictures than my iPhone.
Right.
But I don't, like, I know how to press that one button and that's it. If anything happens to the camera or something, I'm hand it off to my husband. I'm like, here, what did I do?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I don't mesh with technology well at all.
No, I'm the same way. It
My
goes back to-
brain goes the other way. But
Yeah.
it's good because that's where all the creativity and stuff comes
True.
in. Yeah.
And they're hiring you for the cake, not your photography.
Yeah.
So-
Thank goodness.
Well, no, so we need to think about the next project we want to work on.
Well, yeah, didn't you already have a
I
venue
do.
lined up? Yeah.
I was just trying to
Okay.
give you a little warning here. So,
I mean, I'm game for everything,
Yeah.
for anything. Yeah.
yeah.
You need
Well,
to line up all your vendors that you want. 'Cause
Well,
I'm,
I
sure,
got-
I'm sure you're going to have to turn people away this time.
we'll see. Yeah. I don't know. Alan from the rental company, he may be like, okay, we can't take everything.
No,
we
they're not
can.
going to miss out.
No.
That's the thing. Nobody wants to miss out. Cause,
Well, it's fun, and
Yeah.
like you said, establishing a great network with so many vendors in the area
Mm-hmm.
has been key. And
yes.
that's as I mentioned on just about every podcast. That's why I started this podcast. The talent here in this area is just amazing.
It truly is.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I feel like the reputation of Panama City Beach, the wedding industry, is growing. I think
yeah.
we're kind of getting our own vibe here.
We are, and there's a lot of venues that are untapped. And
Yes.
so much potential
Yes.
that we're working on to
Yes.
bring a lot more to the area that is not coming here now. But
I agree.
So
Yeah.
we
And
have
I
some
feel
good
like,
ideas.
Yeah, I feel like our social media presence is growing too. Like,
It is.
We need a hashtag. The wedding industry in Panama City Beach needs a hashtag.
All right,
That's a great
something
idea.
to
We
work
need to
on.
we
Yeah.
need to think of one.
Yeah.
Because, like 30A kind of has their a little bubble over there with the wedding industry, and I feel like we're getting ours. Our bubble's
That's true.
growing.
That's
That's
a great
true.
idea.
Yeah.
We have our hashtag for the chamber.
Yeah, we need one.
You need one.
Yeah. Years ago, I think it was either after the hurricane or after COVID when we couldn't do anything. So we're like, all the creatives are sitting at home and their brains are like going nuts because we have all this creative energy and we can't do anything. And I had thought about the hashtag thing, and I think I had some things started written down. I need to find them. But
Yeah.
the wedding industry here needs a hashtag.
I agree with you.
Because we have our own vibe.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Mallory, thank you so much for being with us today. It's just
Absolutely.
amazing. Once we start talking, the time just
I know.
goes by. Yeah, because at first we had talked about this. It's like, what do we talk about for 30
I was like,
minutes?
do I need to prepare anything? He said, no, we're just going to talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we do appreciate you being here so much
Yes,
today.
thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait for the next project.
All right. Be careful what you wish for.
Hey, you don't scare me.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us again today on Lux Life Discovered. We will be back with our next episode soon, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support our show, leave us a review. That's the #1 way to help this show reach others just like you. Join us next time for another Lux Life Discovered.